Good morning everyone. Basa na ng Bible guys. First Samuel 1 to 3 and Luke chapter 8 verse 26 to 56. Mag-aanim na buwan na pala tayong nagbabasa. Walang absent. Basa. First Samuel chapter 1. Samuel's birth and childhood, the birth of Samuel. There was a certain man from Ramathaim, a Zophite, from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Toho. Ang haba ng family tree nila. The son of Sub, and Ephraimite. He had 2 wives. O kita mo guys, normal na sa kanilang more than one na asawa. One was called Hannah, and the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Yun nga lang. Si Hannah walang anak. Year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh. Ano ba pangalan nun? Certain man from Ramathaim. Si Elkanah. So, si Elkanah, mayroong 2 asawa. Si Hannah, tsaka si Peninnah. Year after year, so si Elkanah ang pinag-uusapan dito guys ha. Year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh, where Hophni and Phinehas, the 2 sons of Eli, were priests of the Lord. Whenever the day came of Elkanah to sacrifice, he would give portions of the meat to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her, and the Lord had closed her womb. Yun nga ang paniniwala nila, once na hindi ka magkaanak, kino-close yun ni Father God yung womb ng babae. And because the Lord had closed her womb, her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. Ganun talaga pag may kahati ka. This went on year after year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her. So, si Peninnah. Ano pangalan ng isa? Si Hannah. Laging pinoprovoke ni Peninnah, ganun ba? Si Peninnah ang rival, diba? Provoked her till she wept and would not eat. Elkanah, her husband, would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? I mean more to you than 10 sons. Once they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh, Hannah stood up. Now Eli the priest was sitting on a chair by the doorpost of the Lord's temple. In bitterness of soul, Hannah wept much and prayed to the Lord, and she made a vow, saying, O Lord Almighty, if you will only look upon your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. So, yung parang kay Samson, hindi nagre-razor ng buhok. ng head. As she kept on praying to the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk, and said to her, "How long will you keep on getting drunk? Get rid of your wine." "Not so, my lord," Hannah replied. "I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and pain and grief." Eli answered, "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." She said, "May your servant find favor in your eyes." Then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. Early the next morning they arose and worshipped before the Lord, and then went back to their home at Ramah. Elkanah lay with Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. So in the course of time Hannah conceived and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, saying, "Because I asked the Lord for him." Hannah dedicates Samuel. When the man Elkanah went up with all his family to offer the annual sacrifice to the Lord and to fulfill his vow, Hannah did not go. She said to her husband, "After the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always." "Do that seems best to you," Elkanah, her husband, told her. "Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord make good his word." So the woman stayed at home and nursed her son until she had weaned him. After he was weaned, she took the boy with her young. She took the boy with her, young as he was, along with the 3-year-old doll, an ephah of flour and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh. When they had slaughtered the bull, they brought the boy to Eli, and she said to him, "As surely as you live, my lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you, praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord for his whole life. He will be given over to the Lord," and he worshipped the Lord there. Hannah prayer. Then Hannah prayed and said, "My heart rejoices in the Lord my horn is lifted high. My mouth boasts over my enemies, for I delight in your deliverance. There is no one holy like the Lord. There is no one besides you. There is no rock like our God. Do not keep talking so proudly, or let your mouth speak such arrogance. For the Lord is a God who knows, and by him deeds are weighed. The bows of the warriors are broken, but those who stumbled are armed with strength. Those who were full hire themselves out for food, but those who were hungry hunger no more. She who was barren has borne 7 children, but she who has had many sons pines away. The Lord brings death and makes alive. He brings down to the grave and raises up. The Lord sends poverty and wealth. He humbles and he exalts. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the ash heap. He sits them with prince and has them inherit a throne of honor, and has them inherit a throne of honor. Yun na muna guys. Sandali lang. Natutunan ko yun eh. Pagka gusto mong takpan mo lang yung camera. For the foundations of the earth are the Lord's, upon them he has set the world. He will guard the feet of his saints, but the wicked will be silenced in darkness. Sa verse 10 tayo. It is not by strength that one prevails. Those who oppose the Lord will be shattered. He will thunder against them from heaven. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the horn of his anointed. Then Elkanah, sa verse 11 guys. Then Elkanah went home to Ramah, but the boy ministered before the Lord under Eli the priest. Eli's wicked sons. Eli's sons were wicked men. They had no regard for the Lord. Now it was the practice of the priest with the people that whenever anyone offered a sacrifice and while the meat was being boiled, the servant of the priest would come with a three-pronged fork in his hand. He would plunge it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot, and the priest would take it for himself, whatever the fork brought up. This is how they treated all the Israelites who came to Shiloh. But even before the fat was burned, the servant of the priest would come and say to the man who was sacrificing, "Give the priest some meat to roast. He won't accept boiled meat from you, but only raw." If the man said to him, "Let the fat be burned up first and then take whatever you want," the servant would then answer, "No, hand it over now. If you don't, I'll take it by force." The sin of the young men was very great in the Lord's sight, for they were treating the Lord's offering with contempt. But Samuel was ministering before the Lord by wearing a linen apron. Each year his mother made him a little robe and took it to him when she went up with her husband to offer the annual sacrifice. Eli would bless Elkanah and his wife, saying, "May the Lord give you children by this woman to take the place of the one she prayed for and give to the Lord." Then they would go home, and the Lord was gracious to Hannah. She conceived and gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. So, bukod kay Samuel, meron pa siyang kapatid na tatlo tsaka dalawang meron pa siyang kapatid na 3 lalaki tsaka 2 babae. Meanwhile, the boy Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord. Now Eli, who was nung araw na napaka-importante sa kanila ang magkaroon ng anak. Pag hindi ka magkaroon ng anak, lagi sinasabi, kino-close ni Father God yung womb ng babae. Until now kaya yun, yung generation natin. Kapag hindi nagkakaanak, talaga bang kino-close ni Father God yun? Tanong lang po. Now Eli, who was very old, heard about everything his sons were doing to all Israel and how they slept with the women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting. So he said to them, Why do you do such things? I hear from all the people about these wicked deeds of yours. No, my sons, it is not a good report that I hear spreading among the Lord's people. If a man sins against another man, God may mediate for him. But if a man sins against the Lord, who will intercede for him? His sons, however, did not listen to their father's rebuke, for it was the Lord's will to put them to death. Nako po. And the way Samuel continued to grow in stature and in favor with the Lord and with men. prophecy against the house of Eli. Now a man of God came to Eli and said to him, "This is what the Lord says, did I not clearly reveal myself to your father's house and to your father's house when they were in Egypt under Pharaoh? I chose your father out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to go up to my altar, to burn incense, and to wear ephod in my presence. I also gave your father's house. I also gave your father's house all the offerings made by fire by the Israelites. Why do you scorn my sacrifice and offering that I prescribed for my dwelling? Why do you honor your sons more than me by fattering yourselves on the choice parts of every offering made by my people Israel? Therefore the Lord, the God of Israel, declares, I promised that your house and your father's house would minister before me forever. But now the Lord declares, far be it from me. Those who honor me I will honor, but those who despise me will be disdained. The time is coming then, the time is coming when I will cut short your strength and the strength of your father's house, so that there will not be an old man in your family line, and you will see distress in my dwelling. Although good will be done to Israel in your family line, there will never be an old man. Every one of you that I do not cut off from my altar will be spared, only to blind your eyes with thirst and to grieve your heart, and all your descendants will die in the prime of life. And what happens to your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, will be a sign to you. They will both die on the same day. I will raise up for myself a faithful priest who will do according to what is in my heart and mind. I will firmly establish his house, and he will minister before my anointed one always. Then everyone left in your family line will come and bow down before him for a peace. Ay, nagreklamo na tiyan ko. Inom muna tubig. Saan na tayo? Who will do according to what is in my heart and mind. I will firmly establish his house, and he will minister before my anointed one always. Sa verse 36 na tayo, guys. Then everyone left in your family line will come and bow down before him for a piece of silver and a crust of bread, and plead, appoint me to some priestly office so I can have food to eat. The Lord called Samuel. Hanggang ilan ba? 1, 2, 3 tayo, diba? Hanggang chapter 3. Chapter 2 na tayo, guys. The Lord called Samuel. The boy Samuel ministered before the Lord under Eli. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare. There were not many visions. One night, Eli, whose eyes were becoming so weak that he could barely see, was lying down in his usual place. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was. Then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, Here I am. And he ran to Eli and said, Here I am, you called me. But Eli said, I did not call you. Go back and lie down. So he went and lay down. Again the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, Here I am, you called me. My son, Eli said, I did not call. Go back and lie down. Pagka ganun, guys, matatakot ka na. Diba? sorry. Sa verse 7. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. The Lord called Samuel a third time, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, Here I am, you called me. Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy, so Eli told Samuel, Go and lie down, and if he calls you, if he calls you, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. The Lord came and stood there, calling as the other time, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel said, Speak, for your servant is listening. And the Lord said to Samuel, See, I am about to do something in Israel that will make the ears of everyone who hears of it tingle. At the time, I will carry out against Eli everything I spoke against his family from beginning to end. For I told him that I would judge his family forever because of the sin he knew about his sons made themselves so contemptible, and he failed to restrain them. Therefore I swore to the house of Eli, the guilt of Eli's house will never be atoned for by sacrifice or offering. Katinantinan ko. Saan na tayo? Sa verse 15. Samuel lay down until morning and then opened the doors of the house of the Lord. He was afraid to tell Eli the vision, but Eli called him and said, Samuel, my son. Samuel answered, Here I am. What was it? What was it he said to you? Eli asked, Do not hide it from me. May God deal with you, be it ever so severely, if you hide from me anything he told you. So Samuel told him everything, hiding nothing from him. Then Eli said, He is the Lord. Let him do what is good in his eyes. The Lord was with Samuel as he grew up, and he let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel from Dan up to Beersheba recognized that Samuel was attested as a prophet of the Lord. Oh, naging prophet si Samuel. Sa verse, sa verse 20. Samuel, verse 3, verse 3, chapter 3, verse 20. And all Israel from Dan Beersheba recognized that Samuel was attested as a prophet of the Lord. The Lord continued to appear at Shiloh, and there he revealed himself to Samuel through his word. And Samuel word came to all Israel. So, hanggang 1, 2, 3 lang tayo, diba? Tingnan natin yung schedule. Yes. So, punta na tayo sa Luke chapter 8, verse 26 to 56. Jesus sends demon into a herd of pigs. So, nabasa na rin natin to guys sa Matthew. Sabi ko sa inyo, pabalik-balik lang yung New Testament eh. They sailed to the region of the Gerasenes, which is across the lake from Galilee. When Jesus stepped ashore, he was met by a demon-possessed man from the town. For a long time this man had not worn clothes or lived in a house, but had lived in the tombs. So, when he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell at his feet, shouting at the top of his voice, What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, don't torture me. For Jesus had commanded the evil spirit to come out of the man. Many times it had seized him, and though he was chained hand and foot and kept under guard, he had broken his chains, and he had been driven by the demon into solitary place. Into solitary places. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "Legion," he replied, because many demons had gone into him. And the big hymn repeated not to order them to go into the abyss. A large herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside. The demons begged Jesus to let them go into them, and he gave them permission. When the demons came out of the man, they went into the pigs, and the herd rushed on the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When those tending the pigs saw that had happened, they ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone out sitting at Jesus' feet, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people how the demon-possessed man had been cured. Then all the people of the region of the Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them because they were overcome with fear. So God so he got into the boat and left. Mas natakot tuloy sila kay Jesus. Baliktad. The man from whom the demons had gone out begged to go with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return home how much and tell how much God has done for you." So the man went away and told all over town how much Jesus had done for him. Jesus heals a bleeding woman and restores a girl of life to life. Ba't ganon? Pabalik-balik na lang. Hanggang, ibig sabihin matatapos tong buong look, puro nanggagaling sa Bible ng Matthew. Galing sa book ng Matthew yung mga sinulat ni Luke. Now, when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were... nagreklamo rin ng tiyan ko. Ganyan yan. Inom na nga ng tubig para maalis yung... Para maalis... nahulog. Para maalis yung reklamador natin. Now, sa verse 40, guys. Now, when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a ruler of the synagogue, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl about 12, was dying. As Jesus was on his way, the crowds almost crushed him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. Ito yung nasanggit niya yung cloak ni Jesus, tapos hindi lingon ng lingon si Jesus kung sino yung humawak sa kanyang damit. Tapos gumaling na kasi yung nasa faith ng babae yun. But no one could heal her. Sinabi na eh. Siyempre, nabasa na nga to sa Matthew eh. Binalik lang ulit eh. Boring na nga pagka binabasa mo pa ulit eh. Kailangan natin basahin kasi nasa schedule. Mamimemorize mo nga na nga ito eh kasi pabalik-balik. Yung kwento ng babaeng matagal nang tinudugo. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, sabi na sa inyo eh. And immediately her bleeding stopped. Who touched me? Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, Master, the people are crowding and praising against you. But Jesus said, Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me. The woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. Sabi na sa inyo nasa pananampalataya yan. Lahat ng may sakit. Once you pray at yung faith mo is sobrang laki kay Father God, gagaling at gagaling ka. While Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue ruler. Your daughter is dead, he said. Don't bother the teacher anymore. Hearing this, Jesus said to Jairus, Don't be afraid, just believe and she will be healed. Makita mo yan, huwag daw matakot, maniwala lang. At don't be afraid, just believe and she will be healed. So, nasa paniniwala mo talaga yan. Pag maniniwala kang gagaling ka, gagaling ka. Yun. Ay, naku, natatawa ako sa tiyan ko. Every morning na lang. Inom ulit tayo tubig. Ubos na. Pagising natin, ganyan yan. Yung struggle natin sa ilong natin, tsaka sa tiyan. Nasa tayo sa 51, verse 51. When he arrived at the house of Jairus, he did not let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. Meanwhile, all the people were wailing and mourning for her. Stop wailing, Jesus said. She is not dead but asleep. They laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. But he took her by the hand and said, My child, get up. Her spirit returned, and at once she stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were astonished, but he ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened. Okay guys, bye. Okay guys, bye everyone. God bless.